What if I told you that right now, as you're watching this video, invisible waves of energy from the sun are racing toward Earth at nearly 2 million miles per hour? What if I told you these waves carry enough force to shut down satellites, scramble GPS systems, and even trigger blackouts across major cities? This isn't science fiction. It's happening this week. NASA has just confirmed a powerful geomagnetic storm brewing on the solar surface. It's one of the strongest in years, and it's heading straight for our planet. Yet, most people have no idea. No headlines, no alerts, just silence. Why is no one talking about this? What exactly is this storm made of? More importantly, are we prepared for the impact? Because this isn't just a pretty light show in the sky. This storm could interfere with everything from airplanes and satellites to the very power grid that keeps your lights on. So buckle up, because what you're about to hear might change how you look at the sun forever. The countdown has already begun. And the question is, how bad will it get? Right now, as you scroll through your phone or watch this video, something massive and completely invisible is hurtling through space straight toward Earth. It isn't a missile nor a comet. It's a surge of pure energy from our own sun, a geomagnetic storm born from a violent eruption on the solar surface. NASA has confirmed that this solar storm is no ordinary event. It's a G3 level threat. That means it carries enough force to interfere with satellite operations, GPS systems, airline navigation, and even the power grid that powers our lives. But here's what's most chilling. You won't see it coming. There's no sound, no light, just sudden failures. A dropped signal, a frozen screen. And before we know it, the sun has reminded us who's in charge. For most people, this storm is just another line in a NASA report. But for those who understand the stakes, it's a cosmic warning. Because when space decides to strike, it doesn't knock, kicks the door in. We live in the sky now, not in flying cars, but in signals, GPS, weather tracking, banking, even emergency services, all beamed through satellites orbiting just above our heads. But what happens when 1 billion tons of charged solar particles slam into Earth's magnetic field? Satellites become sitting ducks. Their delicate circuits, exposed to cosmic radiation, can short out in seconds. Just one strong blast can throw entire satellite fleets offline, erase data, or even knock them permanently out of orbit. And remember, satellites aren't just about your smartphone. They guide ambulances, control air traffic, enable military defense systems. During the 2003 solar storm, satellites were fried and lost contact with Earth for hours. Now imagine a stronger storm, in a more digitally dependent world. This week's event may only last a few hours. But in those hours, a single missed signal could mean disaster. Are we truly ready for a world where space weather can cripple civilization? There's something deeply ironic about geomagnetic storms. They arrive as threats but show up in beauty. Auroras dancing lights in the sky. Curtains of glowing green and blood red stretching over cities that rarely see the stars. And while people marvel at these stunning night skies, few realize what they truly represent. Disruption, energy, and instability in Earth's magnetic field. The same lights that make headlines and Instagram stories are actually signs of immense. It's a solar energy smashing into the upper atmosphere. The sun is not just putting on a show. It's issuing a cosmic bulletin. I'm awake, and I'm powerful. This week, reports of auroras are coming from states like Montana, New York, and even further south than usual. That means the storm is strong. And if it's strong enough to move the aurora line downward, it's strong enough to shake systems far below it. Are we watching beauty or ignoring a warning? Imagine a storm so powerful that it can black out an entire city. Thousands, even millions of people plunged into darkness. Planes forced to change course mid-flight, satellite communications scrambled, GPS signals lost, banks unable to process transactions, emergency services suddenly offline. Sounds like a disaster movie, right? But here's the hard truth. This is exactly what a strong solar storm can do. Yet, you won't find this story dominating headlines or trending on social media. It's barely a whisper in the news cycle. Why? Because the enemy here is invisible, silent, and that makes it the most dangerous threat we never see coming. Space weather doesn't blast headlines with dramatic footage or viral video clips. You won't see collapsing buildings or flooded streets. There's no smoke, No fire, no sirens blaring on the streets. Instead, this threat creeps in quietly through invisible magnetic waves and charged particles from the sun, hitting us where it hurts most. Our technology. NASA and NOAA do their part. They monitor the sun's activity with relentless vigilance, issuing alerts and warnings for scientists, governments, and industries. But the average person? They keep scrolling on their phones, unaware that the very devices keeping them connected are fragile bubbles in a cosmic storm. This lack of awareness isn't just ignorance. It's a dangerous blind spot. Our modern world is built on technology that floats in fragile orbits hundreds of miles above Earth. Satellites that provide the backbone for communication, navigation, weather forecasting, and even financial transactions. These satellites rely on delicate electronics and sensitive instruments, which are vulnerable to the sun's wrath. One big enough solar storm can fry circuits, disrupt data, and leave critical systems inoperable for hours or even days. And that means chaos on the ground. What makes this silence so frightening is the sheer scale of potential. Damage that could ripple through every aspect of life without warning. The blackout in Quebec in 1989 was a wake-up call. But it lasted only 9 hours and affected a sparsely populated region compared to today's hyper-connected world. Now imagine a similar storm striking a megacity like New York, London, or Tokyo, where millions depend on electricity, the internet, and satellite navigation every minute. The economic losses could soar into the trillions. The social upheaval, unimaginable. And yet the media largely ignores this looming threat. Why? Because it's hard to sell a story about something you can't see or touch. There are no human casualties to dramatize, no explosions or crashes. It's slow, silent, and invisible. But invisibility doesn't mean harmless. In fact, it's exactly what makes space weather a ticking time bomb. The silence is also a symptom of society's misplaced priorities. We chase viral trends, celebrity scandals, and political drama, but fail to prepare for a cosmic storm that could bring modern civilization to its knees. This isn't just negligence, it's a catastrophic oversight. We live in a digital age where every heartbeat of daily life is linked to satellites and networks hanging by a thread in space. Ignoring the threat of space weather is like building a skyscraper on quicksand and pretending it's solid ground. Here at the Daily Scope, we refuse to let this story go unheard. We dig deeper. We expose the invisible dangers. Because when the sun wakes up and storms our planet, no amount of scrolling or distraction will save us. The world must listen before it's too late. What if I told you that the solar storm we're facing this week is nothing compared to what's coming? That this is just a small ripple in a vast cosmic tempest that will sweep over Earth in the next few years? That the sun, our life-giving star, is awakening from a deep slumber, and it's about to unleash a storm cycle far more intense than anything we've experienced in decades. Welcome to the solar maximum, the peak of the sun's 11-year activity cycle. It's a period scientists have been studying for centuries, yet it remains one of the most unpredictable and potentially devastating cosmic events we can face. During solar maximum, the sun's magnetic field becomes wildly unstable. Sunspots, dark magnetically charged regions on the solar surface, multiply rapidly. These sunspots aren't just pretty specks. They're the epicenters of solar fury, launching massive bursts of energy called solar flares and colossal clouds of charged plasma, known as coronal mass ejections. Imagine a cosmic storm so powerful it can send billions of tons of electrified particles hurtling through space at millions of miles per hour, straight toward Earth. The solar storm hitting us this week is only the opening act in what promises to be a dramatic and potentially dangerous solar maximum. Scientists have been warning for years that the upcoming cycle, known as Solar Cycle 25, could be one of the strongest in a century. And that's terrifying when you consider how deeply intertwined our modern world is with satellite technology, electricity grids, and digital communications. Let's put this into perspective. The last major solar maximum, Solar Cycle 19 in the late 1950s, produced some of the largest solar storms ever recorded, including the infamous Carrington event of 1859, the biggest geomagnetic storm on record. Back then, society was far less dependent on electricity and satellites. Telegraph lines were the height of technology, and even they were brought down by the storm. Today our world is dramatically different. We live in a digital ecosystem completely reliant on satellites for everything from global internet to GPS navigation. Weather forecasting, banking, military defense, and emergency services. Our power grids are vast, interconnected, and delicate, vulnerable to solar-induced electrical surges that can cause blackouts and lasting damage to critical infrastructure. This means that the next big solar storm, not the one we're experiencing now, but the one lurking in the near future, could cripple global systems in ways we barely prepared for. It could leave millions without power for days or weeks. It could freeze communications across continents, cause air traffic chaos, and disrupt the global economy to the tune of trillions of dollars, the scary part. Scientists say it's not a question of if this will happen, but when. The sun's activity is accelerating. Sunspots are multiplying. Magnetic fields are twisting and snapping more violently than in recent years. Each solar eruption is like a bullet in the chamber of a cosmic gun aimed at Earth, and every time the sun fires, it tests our defenses, probing for vulnerabilities in the satellites and power grids we depend on. What is even more alarming is the growing number of new technologies and mega-constellations in orbit. Thousands of satellites from companies like SpaceX, Starlink, Amazon's, Kuiper, and OneWeb, all floating in low Earth orbit, forming a fragile web of connectivity. These satellites are designed to provide lightning-fast internet to every corner of the globe, but they also add complexity and risk. A strong solar storm could knock out multiple satellites in a single strike. It's causing cascading failures and huge service outages worldwide. Add to this the increasing reliance on GPS for everything from ride-sharing apps to precision agriculture, and you begin to see just how vulnerable modern society has become to solar disruptions. The solar storm we're watching this week might be manageable, could pass with only minor interference, but it serves as a stark reminder, a cosmic warning flare, of what's to come during this solar maximum. And make no mistake, the consequences aren't just technical. They are deeply human. Imagine entire cities plunged into darkness, hospitals struggling to power life-saving machines, emergency responders cut off from communication, financial markets frozen mid-trade. The chaos could spiral quickly from inconvenience to crisis, and in a world already stretched thin by geopolitical tensions, pandemics, and climate disasters, a solar superstorm could be the spark that ignites widespread disruption. Governments and space agencies are working hard to prepare. NASA, NOAA, and international partners constantly monitor the sun with advanced satellites, trying to give us early warning. Power companies invest in shielding critical infrastructure. Airlines adjust flight paths. But the truth is, preparedness is uneven, and many nations remain vulnerable. The terrifying reality is that despite all the technology and science at our disposal, the sun remains a wild, untamable force. Its behavior can't be fully predicted, and a massive solar storm could arrive with little warning and catastrophic impact. So what can we do? Awareness is the first step. Understanding the sun's cycles, recognizing the signs, and pushing for stronger global cooperation on space weather preparedness is critical. Investment in more resilient satellites, power grids, and communications infrastructure must accelerate. But perhaps the most important takeaway is this: our civilization, for all its advances, remains at the mercy of a star 93 million miles away. As Solar Maximum 25 builds momentum, the stakes couldn't be higher. The cosmic storm we see today is just the beginning. The sun's next move could change everything. The question is not whether the sky will go dark from solar fury, but when. And whether humanity will be ready when the day comes. Not at night, but in the middle of the day. So, what do we make of this powerful solar storm? It's a stunning reminder that Earth isn't an isolated rock floating in silence. We are part of a cosmic system ruled by forces far more powerful than anything we can control. The sun gives us life, but it also holds the power to disrupt everything we rely on in seconds. This week's storm may pass with minor disruptions, or it could be the opening act of something far more intense. Are we ready for the next one? What if the next CME Docent T just caused pretty lights in the sky, but wipes out half the world's satellites? If you want to stay one step ahead of what is happening up there, before it hits down here, subscribe to the Daily Scope now. We break the space news that mainstream media doesn't even see coming, and leave a comment below. Do you think we're prepared for a solar superstorm, or are we just hoping the sun stays quiet?